Alright, so the first deck I decided to go over the strategy was the green level 2. A lot of new Magic players, they really like the big creatures, of Magic. That's kind of like the first thing people kind of take to is they see this giant 10/10 creature and like, wow, that thing is awesome. So the green deck has these big creatures that can do a lot of damage. Alright, so let's go through this deck. The big creatures, of course, are going to be this Nespian Asp. It's a 4/5 with reach, meaning it can block creatures with flying, but it also has Monstrosity 4, meaning for an extra 7 mana, it can add 4 +1/+1 counters to it. It makes it an 8/9 that can block flyers. Pretty big. And for only 5 mana to get it out there, that's not too bad. The next giant creature we have is this Vulpine Goliath. For 6 mana, it's a 6/5 with trample, so it's going to run over a lot of little guys. We're putting 2 of those in of each because you don't want to get stuck with a bunch of these in your hand early in the game, but you will draw them late game. The next kind of cool big creature we have is this Olrock's Herd. Olrock's Herd. It's only a 4/4 with trample. However, when you put it into play, you get to go get another one out of your deck. And so that's why we're running 4 of these. So that way you can eventually get all 4 out onto the board. And you see whenever it attacks, it gets a +1 until end of turn for each other attacking one. So if you have all 4 out, they all get +4. It means 8/4. And it has trample. So there's kind of a cool card that gives you a lot of card advantage in the game. Now, how do you get these big creatures out? Well, you need mana dorks. So the most common mana dork right here, Llanowar Elves, for 1 mana as a 1/1, and you tap it and it adds a forest to your mana pool. So that's how you kind of ramp up and get things out faster. On turn 1, you play a forest and play this Llanowar Elf, and then on turn 2, you now have 2 forests and a Llanowar Elf. So you have 3 mana on turn 2. The other mana dork, really good card, Overgrown Battlement. This is probably the best card in the deck because not only does it give you a mana, it's a 0/4, so it blocks all those little small creatures that are trying to kill you before you get your big creatures out, and it adds a mana to your mana pool for each creature with Defender you control. So if you have 2 of these out, they each give you an extra 2 mana. So there's another way to get mana out. Another way to get mana out is Viridian Emissary. He's a 2 mana 2/1, so he's a nice body to do some damage and chump block and keep you alive early in the game. And when he dies, he goes and gets you a land out of your deck. And that's good for thinning your deck out, getting rid of the forest, and getting the forest onto your deck faster than your opponents getting their lands out. So you get the lands out, and you get the big creatures out. However, you do want to be able to fight earlier in the game, and so that's why we have not only the Viridian Emissary, but we have this Skyshroud Troll. For 4 mana, he's a 3/3, and he can regenerate. So that means for 2 mana, you actually take him out of combat and keep him alive. So if he were to die, you can pay 2 mana, and he would not die. So he's really good for blocking in early game. This Numbra Spider is kind of cool because it's a 2/4, so it's got a good defense, and when it dies, you get another 2/4, and it can block flying. So that's a good way to keep you alive early in the game while we're trying to get our big creatures out. Now the tech of the deck is Mold Shambler. This is a 3/3 that if you pay an extra 2 mana, it can kill a non-creature permanent. So that's going to kill those enchantments out there that are hurting you, or anything that's getting on your nerves that you can't normally kill. We also have lots of cool tricks with Hunger the Howlpack. It gives it's an instant for 1 mana, so it's easy and affordable. It can put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. If one of their creatures, or any creature dies that same turn, it actually puts 3 +1/+1 counters on your creature. So it makes your creatures get bigger, and that's permanent. Another cool trick is this instant Symbiosis. It puts a +2/+2 on 2 creatures only until the end of turn, but it's really good for catching the other player off guard and giving you that extra damage you need, especially if you added it to someone with trample. Where's our trample guy, and got extra damage through, or even threw it on a mana dork throw it on this Land of War Elf or the Overgrown Battlement when defending and actually kill them back. Multani's Decree is good for getting rid of those enchantments, and it gives you some life. So even if you have to just do it for kill 1 or 2 enchantments, it's usually worth it because their enchantments are hard to kill and you're going to give yourself some life, keeping you alive to get the big creatures out. And lastly, this is kind of the direct damage of the green deck, Prey Upon. It makes 2 creatures fight each other. It's kind of like they were attacking and blocking, except they don't actually attack and block. They just deal their damage to each other equal to their power. And you can actually play that with a Vulpine Goliath to deal 6 damage to another creature, killing it, and then go ahead and attack with the Vulpine Goliath as well and deal another 6 damage in attack phase. So there you go. You got lots of mana dorks to get the big guys out, and you have some really good creatures in the middle to keep you alive. Some fun tricks and 24 lands to make sure that you're getting the lands you need for those higher cost creatures. You'll see this entire deck is of course a budget deck. Every card under here used to be worth less than 25 cents. It looks like the price on Overgrown Battlement is now 33 cents. Like I said, it's probably the best card in the deck. Very underrated. But the whole deck only costs $12, and it's pretty cool. Check out the next video to see some gameplay and see how these cards all actually work together perfectly to create some really good green power synergy in this Pauper meta that I've created for Strategy Club. Thanks for watching.